Thank you very much, Jacques. That concludes the sessions for the ICRP Symposium 2013. And Jacques Glashar and I would just like to say a few brief concluding remarks. Jacques, to start.
Thank you, Claire. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. So, well, we arrived at the end of this 3 days of high-quality presentation and very challenging discussions. We had 5 sessions, and I'm not going to summarize. They gave us the opportunity to largely review the system of protection. And I think I just would like to mention 2 or 3 points before to give the floor to Claire to close this symposium. I think during these 3 days, we clearly we have seen that the system is based on really 3 pillars. The science, we just discussed about the science, the need to continue to develop science and the importance of doing that with all the challenges of science. You know, the first session has shown that radiobiology is raising a lot of questions which are even challenging some of the key concepts like the detriment, like the effective dose. We have seen also during the present session that there are some still gaps in the understanding about all the phenomenon with regards to the impact of radiation on biota. And this is, of course, our duty to continue to embark the best science we can in our system. We have seen also that the system is based on values, ethical values, social values, and these values are already, the system has embodied some very strong and largely shared values all over the world. But there are also values coming from the bioethics, values coming from the environmental ethics was mentioned just before. And I think we have to embark these values for a better communication about what we are doing, because science is sometimes extremely difficult to explain in plain language and very simply, but we can also communicate with people not only with science but with also values which are part of our system. And of course we have heard a lot about experience in the medical field, the CT scan and all the questions, all the return of experience about all those who are using day to day this technology, the experience of Fukushima, of course, but also we discussed the first day the implementation, how to implement the dose limits for the lens of the eyes. Without receiving all the time this experience, we cannot adjust the system. We need this experience, and meetings like this are very important. I was very pleased to see during these 3 days that the basic component of our system that has been introduced in publication 103, the 3 types of exposure situations, is now widely used by all of us, with the problem that we have been exploring the box of planned exposure situation. In the past it was the practices. We have been exploring this box for decades, and we have developed a very sophisticated but also very robust and solid system for the planned exposure situation. And it works well if you look at the results, or what has been achieved for the protection of workers and so on. But we have difficulties with the other 2 boxes, existing exposure situations and emergency exposure situation. It seems that there are a lot of questions that we need to explore also. And I think it's probably one lesson of this symposium, that we have to focus it was said many times during these 3 days. This is an important point, and with this problem of exposure situation, I think the problem of the tolerability of risk is very important. We discussed that yesterday about the norm, during the norm session. The magic numbers of 1 millisievert for the public and 20 millisievert for the workers, they are the results of long thinking and balancing different factors, and it's difficult to, they don't apply, simply they don't apply for the other exposure situation. Especially we have introduced, ICRP has introduced the concept of reference levels to make a clear difference with this type of dose criteria, the dose limits, but it seems that there are still a lot of difficulties for understanding this concept. Well, I see also that I've seen also, and I will finish with this, that the ALARA principle, the optimization principle, which is the cornerstone of our system, is now really well established, and everyone is referring to the optimization principle. And we have to use it with pragmatism, with flexibility, and I think we have to keep in mind that the search for reasonableness is not only a matter of playing with numbers, it's a matter also of communicating with the key stakeholders, those who are concerned with the exposure situation. Well, I think I will stop here. Altogether, I think we have gathered during these 3 days a really excellent material. This will serve as food for thought for all the 5 committees, but also for the main commission. We have to think about what has been said during these 3 days. And I think I wish that all these contributions will be now largely diffused, and that you will have access and think again about what has been said during this week, these 3 days. I thank you very much for all your contribution during the 3 days, and now I pass the floor to the chair for the closing of this symposium.
Thank you, Jacques. It's really up to me to now say the final thanks, I think, initially, for everyone involved in this symposium. I would, of course, like to thank all of the speakers and the chairs and co-chairs for their hard work in putting together the symposium and for their presentations. Of course, I would like to thank everyone in the audience. I understand that we have had 300 registered participants in this symposium, which is very pleasing. And of course, that we particularly have had many participants from people from the Gulf region. We came here to reach out to a part of the world that we had not done so before. And I'd like to think that we have actually achieved that. So many thanks to you all, and as I say, also for your lively discussion and your participation from the audience.